Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Morning Huddle for Friday, April 15th, 2022. Today is a very special edition of the Morning Huddle because today is, Good Friday. And I want to wish everybody a happy Good Friday, happy Passover, and a happy Easter. And, it's whatever your faith is to this weekend where both religions coincide in celebrating, the gifts that we've received, the blessings that we've received. I love that message because there's so much to be grateful for. Just the fact that we're even here, that we're together, that our businesses are moving forward is something to be very grateful for each other and all the other gifts we've received. And I love it when we can come together and acknowledge that we're all in this together and that, we have a lot in common and a lot to be grateful for. So happy holiday weekend to all of you. That being said, today we have a great number of featured guests from two organizations that are nonprofits called Action Zone and Bridge to Hope. We're going to start with the team from Action Zone, and I want to go ahead and make sure that I introduce Rosie Lee. She is the co-founder and chief operating officer of Action Zone, and she is a lifelong serial entrepreneur. Rosie's business endeavors include a real estate brokerage, a food truck, and a mobile DJ business, with a dozen or so miscellaneous enterprises in between. Rosie is a true entrepreneur with a lifetime of experience recognizing and acting on opportunities to serve the common good. She is also the owner of the Notary Place, a professional Florida notary public. In addition to notary services, Rosie provides business startup education, support, and mentorship to notaries establishing and growing their own notary business. She has been a facilitator with AARP Foundation's Work for Yourself at 50 plus since 2019, serving seniors embarking on their encore careers as business owners. And we don't have Rosie, Ms. Valerie with us, right?
She's trying to get on, but she's still struggling. She might get here.
Okay, fine. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Ms. Valerie in case she can join us. And she's also the co-founder. Thank you so much, Rosie. She's the co-founder and chair of the board of Action Zone. And Valerie Lavin is a retired Army First Sergeant and the CEO of Luminary Global, along with her husband, Jeremy Lavin, the company's COO. Luminary helps prevent death by providing emergency product solutions to those who are the lifeline between preventable death and hospital care. Philanthropically, Valerie is known for her devotion to helping veterans start their businesses. Valerie's experience in startup education, program development, and event execution led to partnership with other military veterans and spouses to create Action Zone, Inc. Recently, Valerie was named Bunker Labs Director of Ecosystem Development. Please help me welcome Ms. Rosie and Valerie to the Morning Huddle.
Thank you. Well, that was a very nice introduction. Thank you. Sometimes it's difficult for us to put the things that we've done in the past in one capsule. And in my case, it's all of those things that led me to start Action Zone back in 2018. We are an entrepreneur support organization serving the military community members, and that's everybody from active duty retirees, veterans, National Guard reservists, military spouses, and adult military children. I, as a serial entrepreneur, understand and have experienced the highs and lows of trying to start a business. Those occasions where you, some of the ones that you didn't mention are the ones that, like many, I started on the fly. I didn't have any support. There was no place in the community to get that. And I will say that in the last 10 years, entrepreneurial support has really been more available and more recognized than in the past. But knowing that I needed that help, and then having an opportunity to work with veterans who were also looking to start a business, it really married well. My goal and my passion with Action Zone is to help the military community members find success, financial success after service. And for military spouses in particular, the ones that are holding down the home front while their active duty spouse is off doing the things that they're doing to protect all of us and to bring peace to the world, is to give them an opportunity to build a business that they can take with them when they go from one duty station to another, so that they can have some financial stability in their life, which I think is so critical. And then the final piece, the adult military children. Once a military child turns 18, they are no longer an entity in relation to the military family. And yet they served alongside their family members just by virtue of being a part of that environment. So we support all of them in their endeavor. We specialize in early stage ideation. So you have an idea, but you're not quite sure what to do with it. Or you know you never want to work for anyone else ever again, and you think you have the skills to do that, but you're just not sure what that idea might be. So we help you flesh that out. And for people that already have a business, some have been with us, came to us after being in business for 20 or 30 years. Our programs help you figure out where you can fine tune what you're doing, or maybe even iterate or pivot what you're doing to become profitable and grow in the way that you wanted to grow. I think it's important to note that not everybody that goes into business has an idea that they're going to leave with $1 million exit. In fact, that doesn't happen very often anyway, but wherever you are and wherever you want to get, that's what we do at Action Zone with programs that teach you about business modeling, about marketing, about strategic growth, and just understanding the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we delve a little deeper into that, Rosie, I wanted to ask you, what drives you as an entrepreneur? Because you're a serial entrepreneur. So why did you decide to go down that route?
That's really funny you asked that question, because somebody asked me that just this week. I think in my earlier endeavors as an entrepreneur were more about rebellion against the corporate machine. You know, I felt like I could manage my own destiny and make money for myself instead of for someone else. And sometimes it was just a side hustle. There was a period of time when I was a single parent and getting 2 jobs wasn't practical, but having a side hustle with my job was. These days, my drive to, my business notary place is in place to support my activities at Action Zone. You know, Action Zone is a nonprofit and we're only 4 years old. So you know, I have to make money too. I have to survive as well. So I started the notary place, which while I'm passionate about what I do with that business, it serves to allow me to continue to work for Action Zone, which is really where my heart is. I had an occasion when I first started working with veterans in entrepreneurship, I was excited to be able to help them. I was working for another organization, providing a program. And in my excitement to call them to tell them that they had been accepted into this program, I was totally naive and heartbroken when I made each call to the veterans to say that they had been accepted into the program. And this desperation, this hopeful desperation that was on the other end, the gratitude at, oh my gosh, thank you for letting me into this program. I've been looking for something to help me. I wasn't prepared for that. I knew then that my experience, both in corporate America and in entrepreneurship, was going to be able to help those veterans who had selflessly served for me and for all of us in ways that I never imagined. So that my drive is to make sure that I can reach as many of them as I can and provide them whatever help that they need.
Wow, Rosie, I love that. Yeah, it's amazing to be able to do that for others, right?
I am one of the very fortunate few that is doing exactly what God intended me to do, exactly when I'm supposed to be doing it. And I wake up every morning grateful that I get to do it.
Wow, that's awesome. I wanted to ask you now, Action Zone is based in Tampa. So what's the connection to Miami-Dade County?
Well, that's the very exciting part. And I welcome Katie to chime in as well. Healthy West Kendall has sponsored a cohort for veterans and military spouses in that region. You know, obviously everyone that's on this call is interested in bringing businesses into your area. And Healthy West Kendall took an even more proactive step by sponsoring cohorts for veterans and military spouses that are interested in starting their own business. And then let's introduce them to the community and see how they can viably create one right in the West Kendall area. Katie, you can explain more about Healthy West Kendall's motivation, but we are very grateful. And the people that are in the first cohort are also very, and Nyurka is actually in that cohort with us.
So where this came about from Healthy West Kendall's perspective is During COVID, we knew that a lot of businesses were struggling throughout the entire country, not unique to our community. But we partnered with the FIU Metropolitan Center to do an in-depth study on the economic environment of West Kendall. And some of the findings from that report indicated we had an extremely high ratio of micro businesses and small businesses in our area. And also from that report, we learned that many of those businesses lacked the infrastructure to really navigate the pandemic in the way that some of these huge corporations were able to. And we wanted to find a way to help them to be more viable and to see themselves through the pandemic and continue thriving. And for those that maybe lost employment during the pandemic and were looking to start a business that had maybe been something in the back of their mind for a long time, but so much shifted at that point that we knew people's ideas about employment were shifting too. So that's where we look to partner with Action Zone and bring them in to help bring some of those skills and resources into our community.
And Katie, what impressed you about Action Zone and the program that they offer?
I think just the all-encompassing aspect that it's really a great wraparound service that I think Rosie and Valerie and their team do so much to, and I think it stems from their true passion about this, but they go above and beyond for the people that are in the cohort. I don't think I've never heard of a restriction that it's, oh, well, they need help with that and we don't do that. Or, that's not part of this program. I think their passion really leads them to true flexibility of serving these veterans and their businesses where they're at. Like Rosie mentioned, whether it's just an idea or it's a company that's been in business for many, many years, it's tailoring it to them and getting to know them. So I think that's been the true secret to their recipe in helping these businesses.
Our secret sauce, right, Katie?
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. And I think we have Valerie on. Hi, Valerie.
Good morning. Sorry I'm late.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
I have, anyway, I have challenges with technology, even something as simple as Zoom, but I'm here finally.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Valerie, and thank you. Trust me, my mic wasn't working earlier, and I'm glad I figured it out. Tech just goes haywire sometimes. So I wanted to ask you, you have served, and thank you so much for your service. What do you think that those have been trained in the military way? What are some of the strengths that they bring to the endeavor of starting a business? And what are some of the challenges that are unique to them? If you can speak and educate us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so starting from the beginning, when in the military, like failure is not an option, right? Because essentially if the mission fails, that can lead to death, right? So in Action Zone, bringing veterans in the military community together to learn and grow and understand that it's okay. It's encouraged as an entrepreneur to fail forward, fail fast, right? So it's a safe learning environment for them, first of all. The skill sets that we bring as veterans to the world of entrepreneurship, if that's the journey that we decide to go on, is I think being able to compartmentalize crisis, knowing that focus on what we need to get done to get through this particular crisis in our business, so that we can carry on. The ability to work well in teams, small teams, is another skill set we bring. Being able to pivot quickly, seeing solutions much quicker than somebody who hasn't had to think like quickly on their feet. Organization, knowing that there are so many facets to a small business, knowing how to organize and execute is another skill set we bring to small business ownership.
And if I could interject before you say anything, Danilo, because I think this is the crux of it. What's really interesting, it doesn't matter how long the veterans have been out of service when they come to our programs, helping them flip that switch from military skills and relating them to entrepreneurial skills is a really exciting thing to witness. Many times the veterans, even if they've been out of the service for 15, 20 years, they don't recognize themselves as entrepreneurial material, maybe in part because of their military experience. It doesn't translate to the business world to them. But once they get into the program and they're talking with other veterans and we start telling them how their skills, recognizing their military skills as awesome business skills, then there's no limitations for them. Then they see the correlation and it gives them the freedom to experience that entrepreneurial journey, even with the failures, even with the setbacks.
Wow, that's a great point, Rosie. And there was a professor at Harvard. His name is Howard Stevenson, and I stole his definition of entrepreneurship. And the definition is the pursuit of opportunity despite resources controlled.
It's very
Right?
true.
Yeah, that is.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah, 'cause
I love it. And
military-
there's a little military in that, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. We do so much with so little in the military that one of the things that we emphasize in Action Zone is bootstrapping. A lot of people will come to our programs and the first two things they ask us is, how do we get funding and how do we hire? And we're like, well, like slow your roll, let's figure out and make sure that you have, a viable business model or business idea, fleshing it out through the business model process. Because you don't want to encourage getting funding for a concept that you haven't validated yet. And where I'm going with that is with bootstrapping, you're able to do so much with so little as an entrepreneur. And that is another asset that, we bring to this journey from our military service. 100-mile-an-hour tape or duct tape for non-military people. If you can do a whole lot of stuff with a roll of duct tape. And we try to teach that in Action Zone. You can do a whole lot with just minimal amount of money.
That's right. What do they call it in the military?
100-mile-an-hour tape.
100-mile-an-hour tape. Cool.
Yeah.
I had not heard that.
I don't want to know how they tested it to get that
Right.
moniker, but
Yes. I want to remind everybody that we're talking to Rosie Lee and Ms. Valerie Lavin from Action Zone, and this is a conversation. This is your huddle. So if you have a question or a comment, please raise your hand. I'll pass you the mic. I wanted to ask you, ladies, about what do folks experience once they're in the program? Walk us through the specific the regimen that you guys offer, the program.
well, the program itself, if you're a new entrepreneur or you're one that's struggling to grow, is our Action Zone Activate program. It's an 8-week program that goes through your business model so that you create a sort of like we all as kids put together model cars or model airplanes. There are pieces of a business that really need to be thought about. And I will tell you, as a serial entrepreneur, there were many businesses that I started where I never utilized this tool. But the ones that I did utilize this tool for, I was more successful in however that was defined for me. So we utilize that as the primary method to get them started in business. And so we meet once a week for a few hours. And I'll tell you more about the cohorts that are coming up, but we meet once a week for a few hours. And then we meet midweek to rehash everything just for an hour. And by the time they finish their business model, they have really validated who their customer is, whether or not the product or service that they were planning to launch is viable. And if not, how do they need to change that to do that? And then we expose them to all of the specialists that they might need, subject matter experts, whether it's in patent and trademark or copyright or marketing and branding, so that while they're doing over the course of this 8-week journey, they're getting all of the information that they need. Now, that's not to say that everyone that goes through this regimen for 8 weeks is going to launch at the end of the 8 weeks. Some businesses, that's not feasible. Oftentimes they come to us as kind of a cottage business. They've been selling products or services on their own, either professional services like massage or beauty supply or beauty services, health and wellness services, or maybe like a couple of our veterans, the homemade dog treats, or a catering business that they've been kind of running on the side. Those might get launched or post a launch, a boost from their launch before the end of the 8 weeks, but oftentimes the ramp is even longer, in which case then we have other programs to help them in a more accelerated or incubated kind of platform.
Right. So you work with them and helping them practice what they learn, right? Not just theory.
Absolutely. Oh, we don't believe in theory. I mean, not that we don't believe in theory. We are not a theoretical academic program. We are hands-on and tactical. You are, from the very first time you come into the program, you are working on your business. And that's what's so great about this. And I'm sure others who have entrepreneur support programs have experienced the same thing. When you get a group of like-minded people in the room, and in this case, they're like-minded military community members, they're all working individually on their business, but they're working and supporting each other together on their success. So it is very tactical, very practical. Theory is great. And we oftentimes say, you need to Google that, or here's a book that references that information. But we are all about down and dirty, boots on the ground. You need to get focused on your business. Definitely. I couldn't be more vehement about that, but
Yeah, that's important, because theory abounds, right? The shortage is in, and Yasnaya always mentions this to me, Danny, the shortage is in helping them execute what they learn.
right.
And so that's a great point. And I want to remind everybody that we're in a conversation with Action Zone with Rosie Lee and Valerie Lavin. And if you have a question or a comment, please don't be shy. Raise your hand and I'll pass you the mic.
Actually, Donella,
Yeah.
Norika is on this call and she's in our current cohort.
So Norika, you want to chime in?
Yeah.
About your
thanks
experience so far?
Right. Thanks to the Healthy West Kendall partnership. She is, she's currently in the program. Norika, you want to say anything?
Yes, I can be a witness and give a testimonial that is one of the best programs I've been in as entrepreneurial. It helps. They're very unique, where they also look at the strategic application of your business and hands-on. Haven't come across that in any other program. So 100% recommend it, especially as a startup. We had to put every single hat out there. So kind of focusing what you want to do, how can you be strategic in order to save your resources, right? Because once your resources are done, you're going to be struggling for a while.
That's a very good point, Nayurka.
Yeah.
When people come to, like Nayurka, come to the program, we don't dictate to them what their business is or isn't. And it's not our place to judge whether it's viable or not viable. That's not our spot. But we give them the tools and resources they need to understand what they need to do and whether it is viable. So like Nayurka said, if you're wearing so many hats, and oftentimes they do, we all start businesses that are going to change the world. And we have a million different fingers in pots. But what we do for them is give them the opportunity and the tools they need to focus on generating revenue and then figuring out how they can fill up all those pots.
Yeah, thanks, Norika. I know I put you on the spot, but
Okay.
but you really want to hear from, like, Rosie and I are passionate about this. Like Katie said, we live, eat, and breathe the Action Zone. One of the things that makes us unique to other organizations is that we're all entrepreneurs. We all have our own businesses and plus Action Zone. But hearing it from somebody who's actually experienced the programs that we have created and deliver, I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road. Rosie and I can tell you how great it is. But when you have somebody who's really experienced it. So Norika, thank you so much for that testimony. We appreciate it. And somebody's asked in the chat what kind of business you have. So if you want to drop your website in the chat for everybody.
Mine? Yeah, sure, I will. Thank you.
New York is also working with others to develop their businesses as well. So there's a great synergy there.
Yes, there is.
I wanted to ask you ladies also about two things, right? Number one, like the requirements to be part of the program and some of the rules on the ground, so to speak. And then the second thing, but before that, I wanted to ask you, can you think of the client that you've had that makes you the proudest, that you've really illustrates the value that Action Zone brings to the life of veterans who are trying to be entrepreneurs? Is there one that stands out that you think, wow, this is the reason we do this?
There's so
Yeah,
many.
we could go on. We could take the whole show because it's very hard to talk about one. And I think Valerie would select the same one I'm going to mention. And it's because this particular veteran had been in business for 32 years when he came to us. He was an oral surgeon. He said that the military taught him to be a dentist, but didn't teach him how to be a business person. And he came to us in 2018 because his reimbursements for dental practice were reducing, and it was reducing his revenue in his office to the degree that he was cutting staff and had to find new ways to create business. So he came to us, ironically, not to save his dental practice, but to start a marketing agency, which I thought was ironic because if he could do marketing, he could probably fix his business. But be that as it may, again, we don't tell them what they're going to do. And so for the first 5 or 6 weeks in the program, he would work on a business model for this marketing business. He had a couple other ideas as well. But about the 6th week, he came in and he had actually had 2 business models. He had the marketing business model that he'd been working on, but he had also been applying what he was learning to his dental practice. And it's at about the 5 or 6 week mark, he told us, he confessed that he was doing that. And he had increased his revenue about 30% in the dental practice. And just this week, between then and now, just this week, he released a new app. He is kind of the guru of wisdom teeth removal. He had some antiquated machinery from his earlier practice that he has innovated to deliver anesthesia in a way that you can have your wisdom teeth extracted and not be a YouTube star after the fact from all of the videos that people take of you. And he has a patent pending on those, and he's got them trademarked, and he's got a new app so that people who need to get his services and learn more about them will have an easy way to schedule appointments and get education about it. So from 2018, when he was going to close his practice and start a marketing firm, to 2022, where he's just banging it. He's just doing such a great job. And it's because he just never forgot what he learned there, and he keeps applying those principles. That's the glory of a solid entrepreneurial education. It works whether you're starting this business or the one you think about next week, or if you sell dog treats and now you want to add grooming services to the business. The tools that you get work to increase your services or start a new business. So I'm very proud of Ted Grellner, Dr. Ted Grellner. If you need your wisdom teeth removed, that's the guy to do it.
Wow.
Yeah, he's awesome. And then, well, there, like I said, there's so many. We had one, she was just retiring from the Army. She was adamant. She lived in some rural area up in Gainesville. So she drove to our course. And at that time, our course was 19 weeks long. So for 19 weeks, every Saturday, she drove to Tampa from Gainesville. Anyway, she was adamant about starting a gym because there was no gym in her location. And it wasn't until almost the end of that 19 weeks that it finally dawned on her, because she did do the coursework, that a gym would not succeed. And she was having better luck selling eggs and other items from her garden at the farmer's market. So she took what she had learned or what she was trying to apply to a gym to the farmer's market, and she's killing it. It's just, yeah, I mean, the coursework, if you dig in and you really are committed to completing it, you will quickly learn how to apply it to even more than just business, but various business concepts, and they'll eventually land to where they're supposed to be as an entrepreneur.
Fantastic. Two great stories. So how do folks get involved with the program?
Well, if you are interested in participating, you can, I'll put the links in the file, and I think you'll probably, I don't know if those get broadcast, but we have 2 cohorts coming up right now. One will be held on Saturday mornings, one will be held on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. You just will email me. I will also put the link to the application right in the chat, so you can forward that to individuals that you know. If you are interested in participating in Action Zone, the organization, either as a facilitator or a subject matter expert, definitely contact me directly, and I'll put that in for Valerie's. My battle buddy is ferociously putting links into the chat for you. We're always looking for facilitators and subject matter experts that can support the veterans and other people in our program. So if you're interested in that, you can contact me about that. And by all means, if you're interested in supporting a veteran, maybe sponsoring a veteran or a military spouse in the program, contact us and we'll figure out a way to do that for you.
Can you tell us your email, Rosie? So for those who can't see the chat, Rosie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Rosie at actionzonetampa.com, and it's ROSIE at actionzonetampa.com.
Great. And to participate in the program, what requirements are needed?
You are connected to the military community in some way, as I previously described, active duty, reservist, guard, veteran, retiree, military spouse, or dependent. Valerie will check me if I forgot any of those. You should be a resident of Florida. And we have 2 cohorts going on right now that doesn't really matter where you're at. So if you know anybody that's listening or on this chat, if you have somebody that's out of the immediate area, our classes are held virtually, so they could attend. And you have to have an honorable, I'm sorry, never, you don't have to have an honorable discharge. And I think the most important thing is you have to be willing to trust us. If you are set in your ways and you are sure that you are right, I absolutely want you to apply to the program because I want to work with you.
I think they call it being coachable, right?
Yeah, even the ones that come uncoachable become coachable.
Yeah, that we get some that are uncoachable. But I just want to touch on one thing that Rosie said, whether she was that you don't have to have an honorable discharge. And that's an advantage that we have with Action Zone. I'll share this story real quick. So it's always hard for me to get through this story, but I'm going to share it anyway. We had a veteran. He came to us homeless. We didn't know. We knew he was in a transition house, but anyway, fast forward. He was like, "I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I just need a job. But I'm here because people told me I need to connect with you." He was discharged from the military, less than honorable. He lost all of his GI Bill benefits and things like that. He had developed a drinking problem in the military because he couldn't sleep. So he was having sleep issues. Fast forward, he found a job and everything turned out all right. But it was like 4 years later, he came to me and he was like, "I now want to be an entrepreneur." So if we turn away people who don't exit the service with an honorable discharge, like, you don't know what the story is, you don't know what the journey is. Because if we are a society of not non-forgiveness, like, we won't be able to uplift people who've made a simple mistake, maybe in their lifetime. So with Action Zone, you don't have to have an honorable discharge. You just have to be a good human being. Wow,
what a great story. Thank you so much for sharing that, Valerie. And Well, I want to just say that thank you so much for being a part of this. We're going to go ahead and introduce our next nonprofit, but let's give Valerie and Rosie Lee a big round of applause, guys, for their amazing contribution today. And Katie, did you want to say anything before we move on?
No, I don't have anything additional to add. Just thank you so much to Valerie and Rosie for being here and for all the great work you're doing in our community.
Yes, thank you so much, ladies. I mean, for everything you're doing to take care of our veterans and helping them see that entrepreneurship can be an exciting opportunity.
Thank
And I hope
you.
you'll stick around and meet our next nonprofit leader. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on, everyone, and I'm going to introduce our next nonprofit leader, also doing amazing work in our community. And she is Vanessa Tinsley, the Executive Director and founder of Bridge to Hope. Executive Director and founder of Bridge to Hope, Vanessa is a Miami Leader Class of 2016. She has a certificate in nonprofit management from the Florida Association of Nonprofit Organizations, a bachelor in theology, and a master's in worship arts. She is an ordained minister, spiritual leader, and advisor who spent 30 years teaching fine arts, sacred studies, and religion, and also served as chaplain and director of family ministry in the Episcopal Diocese of Southeast Florida. Vanessa began working as a public and motivational speaker in 1994 and has presented at conferences in the US, Spain, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. Vanessa is a graduate of the Social Entrepreneur Bootcamp and the District 8 Nonprofit Academy. Her life mission is to leave people better than I found them. Please help me welcome Vanessa Tinsley to the Morning Huddle.
Thank you, Danilo. Excited to be
Vanessa.
here.
Yes, awesome. And I just love being able to feature some of our great nonprofit leaders. You see the great work that they're doing. Tell us about Bridge to Hope, Vanessa.
Okay, well, that's a little hard to do in a nutshell, but I'm going to try to talk fast and give you all the essence. Bridge to Hope provides wraparound supports, essential services to low, moderate income in crisis households. Here in Miami-Dade County, we do pop-up events in Central Florida, and we also do crisis relief. Post-hurricane, we have served in Houston, and we are currently serving in the Bahamas. We served in the Keys after Irma. We just sent another shipment to the Bahamas last week, so that totals $1 million in supports to them for Hurricane Dorian. We serve about 140,000 Miami-Dade County residents through our food pantry program, our educational programs, and back to school, tech development, furniture, clothing, housewares for those transitioning from homelessness into housing. So I think I covered it, hopefully. Somewhere in there. Probably missed a few things, who knows.
Yes, and that's
we stay
a lot.
Really busy. We're very busy.
So, I'm a big, believer in what you guys are doing and the great work. You're an angel in the community, and it's so great. I'm so grateful that there is someone looking out for those of us that are struggling. Tell us about the transition from before COVID to today, Vanessa, for your organization. What have you experienced during that time?
COVID was really, it was a huge game changer for us. Our organization, as I said, is one of the fastest growing of its kind in Miami-Dade County and probably in the state of Florida. We have grown since 2016. We had a budget of 30,000. We currently have a budget of over $3 million. And a lot of that is due to the fact that COVID really exploded and peeled open for a lot of people what we have been talking about for the life of Bridge to Hope, and that is how many people live just paycheck to paycheck, and a bump in the road, a hiccup can end things for family. It can tip them into homelessness. It can definitely tips people into hunger and food insecurity, which creates a whole wealth of other problems around health and well-being, mental health, and just being sustainably self-sufficient. Once you start to kind of go down that funnel, it's very hard to climb back up those sides and become sustainably self-sufficient again. So COVID quadrupled the number of people we were serving. And there was that first wave, which was kind of very temporary. Suddenly everyone was unemployed. during the lockdown, and we all saw those lines that were miles and miles and miles and miles long, which forced our organization to pivot. We didn't want people sitting in those lines, so we innovated some new solutions, including delivery and appointments, and some digital solutions so that people wouldn't have to do that and wouldn't be left out of that service arena. And then those supports went away in the very first part of December of that year of the lockdown, but people were still in need. And a lot of people lost their jobs. As a matter of fact, here, I'm in an entrepreneurial zone in a warehouse district, and more than half of the businesses that were here at the beginning of COVID have closed. And it's so sad to see people losing their lifelong, what they've worked to build, and mostly because they lose hope and don't have access to resources to support their businesses. What has changed is the way people do business and how they work, and the cost of living. So we're dealing with the economic fallout now. And honestly, in the last 3 months, we have seen more influx of new clients than we did in the height of the pandemic. So we're experiencing unprecedented need, not after Irma or Andrew or any of the things that we've experienced so far have we seen this many people coming into our program. And it is largely due to economic fallout, and people are reporting that their rents are being increased $500 or $600 on the average. Had a lady call this week that said her rent went up $850 a month. I don't know how people are gonna get around this. So what we're seeing is a much higher caliber of people coming into our program, people with bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, and what we would consider good jobs. Those jobs are no longer living wage jobs, and people are having to make decisions about what basic needs they are going to forego in order to continue to pay their rent and be able to put fuel in their vehicles to get back and forth to work. So it's kind of a terrifying time to be in this arena, because South-Dade is growing. We're looking at the number of units being built. Homestead is on commit for another 110,000 units to be built. And that's an incredible number of people. And these units are, it's multifamily. Kids aren't going to have backyards to go out and play in. We're just going to be stacked on top of each other. It's just going to create a whole new set of issues. And as we know, South-Dade is not well resourced. The resources for our community are in the urban core, and the people who need those resources are being driven into South-Dade. So hopefully that was a very long answer to your very short question, but lots of changes that are going to impact all of us.
Wow. And I want to encourage everybody to please, if you have a comment or question for any of our guests today, please raise your hand and I will pass you the mic. So you mentioned the rent hikes, Vanessa, which is a serious thing. I talk to folks all the time, and this is like something that's hitting them very hard. And you hear this over and over and over. Landlords raising rents by $400, $500, $600 or more dollars per month. But also the inflation rate is at a 40-year-old history.
40-year high, yeah.
40-year high, right?
Yep. So,
are you seeing those effects as well? Is that why we're seeing this built up in demand, even worse than during the COVID?
Yeah, we're living in an absolute perfect storm. And it's impacting, and it takes a while. I think we miss the fact that we don't get here overnight. It's not that there's an election and we have a new president and suddenly all this stuff comes in, it's their fault. It's if you look at the 10-year history of what's been going on economically, this has been very predictable. And COVID certainly heightened it and exacerbated it. But we saw it coming, and we've been talking about it for a long time. And absolutely, inflation is impacting all of us. None of us are going to get a raise that is equivalent to the current rate of inflation. And so many things in our budgets, whether we make $50,000 or $60,000 or $90,000 or $100,000 a year, are fixed. You can't negotiate a lower rent. You can't lower your mortgage without increasing your payments over time, and what the cost of that house is going to be. Your car payment is your car payment. Your insurance costs what it costs when you go. Your co-pays are fixed. So everything in our life is fixed. What's flexible? For most of us is what we spend at the grocery store. And if we're not eating well, then we have long-term health outcomes. And those long-term health outcomes don't just impact our family. In fact, there's a study that shows that a family that is lower income and is marginalizing their grocery budget spends $1,800 more every year on healthcare than a food secure household. So that's immediate cost, but it's also cost to society. It's lost time on the job. It's lost time sitting in school. It's less energy to invest in things that move you forward and help you move up the economic bracket. So we all pay for that over the long haul.
Are you seeing a lot of kids, Vanessa, and families?
With the kids, with the kids, it's absolutely heartbreaking. There's going to be a huge brain drain because the children don't have what they need and they don't feel secure. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs is very specific. At the bottom is basic needs. And we keep coming up with these ideas and programs, and the government is great at funding things at the top and thinking we're going to move the needle. And the problem is that people can't focus on these things that are at the top, that are moving up the hierarchy of needs, until they have air and water and shelter and all of those, and food, and those things. We absolutely have to have it. And if we have a strong baseline, then everything we build on top of that just becomes better and more effective. So our children, unfortunately, they're the big losers in this, because every time they go home for a break. Today the kids are on break from school, and so they're missing their lunch and they're missing their breakfast. And the parents have to cough up the money, or they just do without, which happens a lot, to have the breakfast or to have the lunch. And it's usually going to be a lower quality of nutrition, and they're going to come back to school Monday morning not at the top of their game and ready to perform.
Right. And I want to ask you about how you're responding to this situation, but I see Rosie has her hand up. Rosie?
I didn't mean to interrupt. Chaplain Vanessa, you're doing a great thing. There's just not enough people and organizations like you to handle the number of people that need your help. How can we help as a community, aside from donations and physically being there to help them? Are there certain legislators or state representatives that we can contact about specific issues related to the kind of resources that you need access to and maybe struggle to?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that super important question. We can all be advocates. Start with your local county commissioners, and if you're bold enough, then start moving up. Talk to our county mayor, talk to your city government, talk to your state government, and reach out to the federal government, because too often they're very out of touch. We saw just a little celebration this week in our own district, the celebration of affordable housing that was published by one of our government members, celebrating $350,000 units as affordable housing for the rest of us. And I just wanted to scream, like, in what world does $350,000 and up? And this is not even single family units. So we need to advocate, because, we only know what we know. I happen to be a military brat and a military mom and a military spouse. So I really resonated with your conversation earlier. And so what I know in that field, like, I really get that. You want to talk PODs and whatever, like, you're speaking my language. But we don't know what we don't know. And unfortunately, a lot of times people who get elected to these positions, they're trying to create solutions for problems they've never had or experienced. And so they don't understand the problem in a way that is meaningful to be able to speak to that problem.
Thank you for that. Yeah, Rosie.
Yeah, that was great. I also put, I made a little PowerPoint, 3 reasons that you need to engage with your nonprofit organizations now.
You want to show
and it's
that?
not just, yeah, I would love to, because it's
Yeah.
not really even just about the nonprofit. It's really about how we can work together.
So Vanessa, I'm gonna make you host so you can share that, and you have to give me the host rights back. Now I'm stuck
well,
out.
let me feel my power right now.
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
You have the power.
I have the power. Let's screen share real quickly. And I will speak fast because I see that we're like about to run out of time. Are we good?
Yep.
Everybody got me? I'll say awesome. So 3 reasons you need to engage with your nonprofit now is not just to be a help to your nonprofit, but consumers want to do business with socially responsible companies. The reimagine post-pandemic, what they're saying that our customers care about now, they're motivated beyond price and quality, and they're willing to pay more. If you are socially responsible and you're practicing sustainable have sustainable practices in your business. I'm going to talk really fast. I know everybody can read. Hopefully you can read fast. According to Forbes magazine, Sprout Social did a survey. 70% of consumers believe it's important for brands to take a public stand on social and political issues. And 66% of consumers want brands to take a stand on social and say it's because they believe that brands can create a real change. So this is important for you when you're building your brand to have that component built in. Matthew Tilley wrote this for Verycast. If you're not familiar with them and you're an entrepreneur, please look them up. Lots of great information for you for marketing and for building your business. And I can't actually see this. Let me put my little screen in the middle. So socially conscious consumers make mindful purchasing decisions, deliberately buying ethical, environmentally friendly products. They vote for their values with their wallet. 45% said they are willing to pay more for sustainable products. Aside from sustainability, consumers care about diversity, inclusivity, gender equity, poverty eradication, support for small businesses, animal protection, and more. And they want to buy from brands that reflect the same values and support the same causes. So some guiding questions for you, for your business, and thinking about your brand on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed is your brand to sustainability or social responsibility or both? Thinking about how your target audience perceives your brand, how aware is your customer of your commitments to sustainability or social responsibility? Is your customer aware of your core values? And how can you leverage information to increase the likelihood that a prospective client will choose your company over another company offering similar products and services because of your social responsibility. Thing 2 you can do, you can align your brand with recognized names. This is actually the back of our truck, and you'll see a small business located there, Florida Wellness. And they are right alongside Florida Blue, UPS, and PepsiCo, making them just giving them credibility and getting their name associated with household names that customers recognize every day. I think that's hugely valuable. And then the final thing is you can leverage your NPO's reach. To the left, you see one of our social media posts. UPS came out to volunteer, and so we posted that. When you leverage your reach, you can expand your social media reach, your advertising. You can do it by volunteering for impact. You can do event sponsorships or underwriting, and just know that your social media plus their social media plus their friends reposting on social media equals expanded reach for you and for your brand. And so there's a 1 hour why you might want to do this in a nutshell, and right in under the wire. So Danilo, how do I get you host back?
Just go ahead and click on my picture and the 3 ellipses, the 3 little dots, and say, did you get it? Make host.
I'm clicking on your picture. I don't see 3 little dots. Record, stop recording. Let me just try clicking on your button. Let me change the view and maybe I'll see those 3 little ellipses. Okay, there we go. Live, nope, that doesn't do it either.
Just hover over my image and you'll see that you can mute people and you see the images?
I'm hovering over your image. I think I need to change my view. Let me just go to gallery view.
Put your view to gallery.
That's what I was doing. There we go. There we go. Now I got it. Now I got it. Now
make host.
I can make you the host and we can say good to go.
Great. Thank you so much. So in closing, guys, and thank you for that, Vanessa. That was a lot of information. What can we do to help you, Vanessa? We can go to your website, you donate, volunteer, right? What else can
So
we do?
absolutely volunteer. If you're interested in having a corporate event and joining us officially as a company, please reach out to us. The very simplest thing that you can do right now is follow us on social media. On Facebook, that's Bridge to Hope. On Instagram, that's Bridge with the number 2 Hope, hashtag Bridge number 2 Hope, and share, because we post a lot of things about what is going on in the community. But every post that we make that you share helps to advocate, is reaching somebody that would otherwise I don't have any ability to reach, and it helps to tell the story. On our website, there are ways to volunteer. There are ways to reach out to us. We're happy to custom design. We do a lot of play events that are team building events. And if you're a small team, you can always partner with other teams. There are ways to donate, and you can always invite me to speak, just to share in a small group like this. So those are all ways you can gauge. Everybody that's going to follow us on social media, raise your hand. Let's see how we did. 1. You can use your emoji. 2. There we go.
Fantastic. Yes. Good.
There we go. Awesome. 3, 4. Thank you, Jackie.
Mr. Deborah as well. Look.
Thank you. Yeah, so awesome. So we're making, hey, Enrico, we went to school together. Good to see you. We took a marketing class together. So there we go. So those are ways that you can start to have an impact right away. You never know who's going to see your post when you share our post that's going to do something really significant for us. So thank you, all of you, for that. It's a big help.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. And I will see you tomorrow, because I'm a volunteer for Bridge to Hope. I believe in the work that you're doing.
Yes, we'll see you volunteering bright and early. Anybody that wants to join Danilo tomorrow and get in the picture and tag yourself and your brand doing good socially, we will be at Redland Christian Academy on the corner of 280th Street and Chrome Avenue in Homestead at 9 o'clock in the morning, serving our community. So you're all welcome to come out and join us. I look forward to seeing some surprise visitors tomorrow. Thanks for the love,
Vanessa. And you know what? It was great. Also, Rosie and Valerie, at Vanessa's, I've met a lot of veterans at your food distributions, right?
Yes,
where the mission continues. And yes. So it was great to see, the mission continuing and helping our community to stay strong. Rosie, yes, Valerie, thank you so much for your time as well.
Thank you very much for having us. I will be back. This is a great group.
Yeah, we had a couple of technical difficulties today, but that's what being in community. This is about us, and everybody here is a member of the Huddle, and building that community is so important. So I want to thank you all so much. Happy Good Friday, happy Passover, happy Easter to everyone. I hope you have a great weekend. And we'll do it again next Friday, at the 22nd, and I will be live from Westchester Regional Library at the Mogul Maker Expo. And you guys are all invited, okay? The links are in the chat box. I will see you again next Friday.
Blessings.
Thank you. Blessings.
Thank you, guys. Awesome meeting.